Clout 941. We're in our last segment with Representative Doug Holder. And next thing we want to talk about, Doug, is the property insurance. This is a controversial issue that a lot of people really care a lot about. And of course, anybody running for office is going to try to come up with some solution to lower property insurance rates. And
sure.
I've talked to a lot of friends of mine that are in the insurance business and about some of the issues in this race. And one of the things that your opponent, Sam Rosenfeld, has proposed is to take all windstorm coverage basically out of the hands of private companies and put it into citizens. Basically have the state take care of all windstorm coverage. And he thinks by doing that, a lot of the companies that have left Florida will be willing to come back and write hazard insurance policies as long as they don't have to cover hurricanes. That's kind of a radical proposal. Where do you stand
not
on
only
that?
is it radical, but I just don't believe that it can possibly work. You know, windstorm or citizens insurance, it's interesting. And if you go to the Hearld Tribune's voter guide, you can read the responses that we have on insurance. And it's interesting how he describes that plan, because in the answer to one question, he says, and this is specifically in there, that citizens insurance is one disaster, is a disaster waiting to happen. So far, I kind of agree with that. Then he says
one big disaster away from happening.
Exactly. And then he says that he wants to take windstorm off the table altogether by, I guess, and this is very confusing, but by mandating that citizens cover all the windstorm policies in the state of Florida. Well, so here we have something that, in his words, is a disaster waiting to happen. Let's expand it to the entire state. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I think what we've got to do, though, in windstorm insurance is we've got to get the private market back into the picture. You know, Citizens was never intended to be the state insurance company that would cover the entire state. It was supposed to be a fairly short-term process after Andrew in '92 when it was created, and it's just maintained a life that's much longer than it was intended to. And I think that the answer is to shrink it versus grow it. But the way that we shrink it is by bringing the private market back in and allowing just the free market system with competition to allow the premiums to start going down.
Okay, we probably only have time for one more question. But I know this is a complicated issue, but I want to ask you about it anyway because I'm a Red Sox fan and they're playing right now, so I got to ask you. The county commission are looking for a lot of different ways to get money to help bring the Red Sox here, and one of the places they're looking to is you to try to help them get some state money. And I know there's been a snag there. I know that you're looking for a way to facilitate getting some state money to possibly help the Red Sox move here, but the representative, my understanding is down in Fort Myers, is kind of opposing you on that. Or
well, that's again that's something that was written in the Hearld Tribune, and actually he and I co-wrote that legislation, so he was not opposed to it. Okay. Originally, the way we wrote it was in order to it was to help facilitate a team that was in a situation in a host community that needed to move to another community. Give them an easier way to do that. The way that the current system is set up in Florida, there are 5 teams at one time that can be certified from the state to receive state dollars. And when they choose to move from one community to another, number one, they have to be decertified by the state. Secondly, they have to have sign-off on the host community where they're currently playing their spring training games. And that's very difficult to do. Of course, Lee County has said, absolutely no way, we're not going to sign off on the Red Sox.
Right.
But the situation currently in Sarasota is the Red Sox would not be able to come to Sarasota with state dollars, although we will reintroduce the legislation that we introduced last year as an amendment. Last year it was an amendment. This year we'll probably do it as a bill. It could be an amendment again. But it will allow us to be able to from the state level to determine whether a team should move from one community to another under the guise of the Office of Tourism and Economic Development, OTED, as well as with the Florida Sports Foundation.
Okay. Doug, how can voters get in touch with you if they want to contact your campaign, help you out, contribute?
The best way to do it is on our website at dougholder.com. You can always contact us through our campaign phone number, which is 284-1959, and you can always email me. My personal email address is very easy. It's doug@dougholder.com. And thank you for having me tonight.
Okay, thanks for being on the show, Doug.
It's always good to see you.
You too. Okay, finally we have a new feature of our show, which hopefully everybody will like, and it is called the Weasel of the Week. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to identify somebody out there who really deserves this title. We're looking for a nice little furry stuffed animal weasel that we can use for the show. If anybody has one, give us a call. We've looked in all the toy stores and can't find them. Our Weasel of the Week this week, of course, is an easy choice. It is Principal Curtis Davis of Lincoln Middle School up in neighboring Palmetto. Unfortunately, Mr. Davis, young Zachary Sharples, who was a 12-year-old 7th grader at the school, got a Ray Hawk, a little mohawk, nice and tight, in honor of the Devil Rays making the American League Championship Series, and he was expelled from school by Principal Davis. The Manatee County school system has a policy that any haircut that is disruptive to the classroom will not be permitted. And he determined that Mr. Sharples' mohawk there, his Ray Hawk, was disruptive to the class and ordered him to be removed from school and was not allowed to come back until he cut it off, which his father refused to do. So look, a lot of school officials, it's a tough job and there's a lot of zero tolerance policies and things like that, but they have to interject a little bit of common sense into their job. Curtis Davis fell down on the job and failed to do that, and therefore he is our very first Weasel of the Week. And so we're looking forward to next week. We're going to have Doug's opponent, Democrat candidate Sam Rosenfeld. So tune in next week to Clout 941. Look forward to seeing you then.